Hey everybody, it's Never, and it is BlizzCon Eve. And I wanted to talk about a couple of things that are coming up. Number one is everybody can watch the opening ceremony for free. Just go to the WoW site and you'll find links and stuff to it. Or pretty much any site you could check. MMO Champion's got a link to it. The other thing I wanted to talk about is this schedule. There is a big gap in the schedule. I think it's right after the opening ceremony that is pretty conspicuous. And no one really knows what's going on there or what they're going to talk about or announce. And most of you probably know they recently trademarked two new names. One was Overwatch and the other was Eye of Azshara. And so now, Eye of Azshara is definitely related to Warcraft, and it could simply be a Hearthstone update or something like that. There's also speculation it could be the name of the next expansion, and it would fit with a lot of what people are thinking. The popular idea being that while we're off on, alternate timeline in the past Draenor, meanwhile, the Naga come up and start wrecking things. And then we go back home, and it's like, oh, hey, look, the Naga are wrecking everything. We better deal with that, and we got to deal with Azshara or whatever. So that could be interesting. And it's possible that they would announce the new expansion right when Warlords of Draenor is about to come out. Possible, but I don't think it's likely. One thought is that would keep them on a very long, or a very short expansion window to make sure that there's none of this 700-day long Siege of Orgrimmar or anything like that. But it seems sort of self-defeating to look at all the wings involved in this right now. It seems sort of self-defeating or even kind of anticlimactic to talk about your new expansion when your new expansion is coming out. Like to talk about a new expansion. So I see that as less likely. So I'm thinking that Eye of Azshara may not be what they talk about. Overwatch, on the other hand, could be something to do with anything. It's not very specific. It could be something with any of their IPs. Now, some people are speculating that they are just kidding and that maybe Titan will actually come out. I don't think that's the case because they did release some details on what Titan is. And if you dig around a little bit on the internet, you'll find it. But the short version is it was a little more of a meta type of game where you were like a normal person and did social things during the day, and then at night you were some kind of it was a superhero essentially, not a superhero, but some sort of like alien fighting guy or something like that. As best I remember, it was a while ago that I read that, but they did give details on it, so I doubt that it's whatever that project was. But I don't have a hard time thinking that they might have come up with a new IP. But the thing that talks against that is that they did just cancel Titan, which would have been effectively a new IP. So whatever they're planning, it will probably make a whole lot more sense than we're expecting it to. And it could be a new expansion to StarCraft 2, maybe. Or it could be The Lost Vikings 3, which would probably get my vote, because how could you possibly go wrong with that? Whatever it is, I'm sure it'll be interesting, and I'm sure it will be less shocking than we're all thinking it might. It could simply be more stuff about that documentary that they gave a preview to. So, who knows? I think WoW expansion's pretty far down on the list. So that's the sort of stuff coming up for BlizzCon. Be sure to look on YouTube, because as soon as stuff is done, people are going to have it up on YouTube and you'll be able to watch it. Even if you don't have the pass, you just won't be able to watch it live. Unless somebody's going to put it on Twitch, I don't know how that's going to work. Also, be sure to keep your eye on stuff like MMO Champion for very quick updates on what's going on, because you can watch the opening ceremonies, but after that, unless you've got the BlizzCon ticket, you won't be able to go and watch all the rest of it. And right after that is when they're going to be announcing whatever this new thing is that is taking up this large block of time. I should also mention that there's a big section of the floor that they haven't put to use, and that's very valuable space So whatever they're planning to do is probably something pretty significant that is worth taking up a big chunk of floor space and a large amount of time for. So who knows? I really couldn't say for sure what it is, but I'm excited, and I hope it means something good. While we're on the topic of new things being announced and whatever for WoW, I'd like to address an issue that some people seem to be concerned about, and maybe alleviate some fears that WoW is dying, or it's going to go away soon, or anything like that. And I'm not going to give citing for all of these, but I just want to go over some of the things that the devs have alluded to and even outright said in relation to that topic. First of all, WoW is not going anywhere. They have said that they have 5 expansions planned out at various stages, where they're already working on one. They have a lot of concrete plans for another. They've got pretty general ideas for another, and they've got vague concept ideas for another couple after that. They have like 5 expansions, at least in some stage of planning, after Warlords of Draenor. So they're also saying that they think that WoW will easily last another 10 years. So we're nowhere close to the end of its lifespan, and that's good. It would be foolish of Blizzard to abandon it for something else, because it works as it is and people are invested in it. And I think expansions are the way to go. But I think that it might be wise for them to accelerate the speed at which they release expansions, which would go along with the whole Eye of Azhara thing that I said, though for the reasons I said, I think that's still a little less likely. Anyway, that's some thoughts about what's happening tomorrow with BlizzCon and the future of WoW. We're in good hands, and the game will only continue to improve. Also, a couple of odd predictions, just to get them on record. Number 1, I predict that at some point in the future, glyphs will disappear and simply become talents, including. Oh, that's embarrassing. I'm missing a glyph because I'm getting myself used to not having a spare glyph so that I can put the glyph of energy in there when I can get it when Warlords hits next week. So it's not such a shock to adjust to it, because I'm not going to get the extra energy from my PvP set, and so I need to get accustomed to using a different glyph, so I took one out. But I think that glyphs will just become talents, and we'll have more talents. All of these, they're becoming spec exclusive, or they're becoming mutually exclusive to each other, and I think that eventually talents will just get more numerous, and glyphs will be baked into those. Just a prediction. I also predict at some point we are going to have a major overhaul of the profession system. I mean big time, to where you won't even recognize the professions, and they will be a good deal different from one another. There have been a couple of hints toward this by some devs, and there's also the fact that they've got one guy doing the professions that they have had for a while, and I think that part of the large amount of people they hired recently is to expand on that some more, and also to accelerate the development process to do a more frequent expansion cycle. Because how do you make more box sales from the game? You just have more often that you have boxes put into circulation. So those are my thoughts with what's going on there, and weekends coming up. So I've got a couple of Pet Battles things in the works. I've been trying to find a 2-pet strategy for Von Fiesel, and I'll just come right out and admit it. I have not found a good one. There's a really popular one where you actually use the Bronze Whelpling and the Iron Starlet, but I have never been able to get it to work. And no matter whose version of it I use, it always falls a little short, and I can't do it without 3 players, or without 3 pets. So if you have a good strategy for 2-manning Von Fiesel, please let me know what it is, and if your strategy works, I'll feature it and I'll mention you for it, because, well, I can't find one, and all the popular ones that people say work great just don't really work for me, so figure that one out. Anyway, thanks for watching. I hope that you had a great time, and I hope that you're excited for BlizzCon and everything to do with it, and I hope the news is really awesome. Oh, come on. Okay, thanks, bye.